Welcome one and all to this week's edition of the Chroma Team Roundtable, where we talk you through the markets, look around charts, give you our hot takes, cold takes, and any other take on what's going on in the markets today. Today we have Jedi, Osbrah, and Luke on the panel. We're going to be talking through a few different topics of discussion, one of which is general market conditions. We've had a lot of BTC downside since our last conversation. ETH looks terrible. We have altcoins like Pulse, XPL, and Aster filling their 10th of October wicks, which is crazy because I think after that 10th of October liquidation event, a lot of us would have said that was going to be, a bottom for alts for a long time to come, maybe a temporary bottom, perhaps for the rest of the cycle. I certainly didn't think that we would have two of the arguably, more hyped up launches earlier I suppose a couple of months ago at this point with both of those, retracing the entire move and filling those wicks. We can talk about that. We have ZEC, Zcoin, crazy strength at the moment, massive volatile moves on that thing. It's 10x at the moment, or was 10x when I wrote that post out. I think it's retraced a little bit now, but also bouncing on the low time frame. We have Virtual retracing the Andrew Kang pump after pumping 40% in 24 hours. That guy clearly has more motion than CZ, or so it would appear. And then we're also going to talk about some more macro stuff like the Wintermute versus Binance lawsuit, which I had alluded to on a conversation we had a few weeks ago, and the US government shutdown. So first thing I'm going to ask Luke about, just what are your thoughts on the current market conditions? What are your thoughts on BTC in particular? Looking weak, looking like it might fill the wick, looking like the bottom is not in just yet.
Was that me?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been out for the last few hours. I saw the little rally that we've had, and I've been considering trying another little scalp here, but I think right now it's not looking great. Let me just see if I can share a screen up here quickly. Yeah, I've been toying with the idea for the last few minutes, but yeah, it seems like we're about to go take these lows again. The only thing that I'm really a little bit more interested in right now is just looking at assets that have been more resilient during this drop. So I'm also considering Tau. It's holding. It's like a 4-hour 200 EMA. It's hit previous week open. It's trying to make a higher low. And there's also a little bit of a trend line there. I'm just watching at the moment to see if I can get any trades, but I have tried during the quiet sessions, the Asia and the London sessions, take a few scalps today, and it's just been like one hit, one missed. And then I got stopped on the Aster long yesterday as well. So I don't really have much of an appetite to watching the NQ, which is, I think this is caught below VWAP also. Our session VWAP on the day also here. So I've literally just got back in and I'm having a look at the charts. That's your weekly VWAP. Monthly VWAP. It's kind of right at it. So I'm watching. I'm seeing if NQ can put in a higher low. I'm watching what Bitcoin does. I'm not in this trade. I did try and take a little bit of a scalp earlier. The one that you see here, it just didn't happen. This is the first time we've had a test of VWAP on what is so far most definitely a trending day. So I would expect it to make another low. If it does come and sweep the lows, then maybe if this were to happen around daily open, but that's again like however many hours away. I'm losing track of time now. Like 8 hours away from now. Then that would be okay, but I would have wanted to see this range then come sweep the lows on daily open and then get a bit of a pump here. So it's not looking great for me. Just watching at the moment, not getting into any more positions. There's things that look kind of productive, like ETH BTC looks like it's like could be doing something here. It's coming into the zone that I was looking to bid. But yeah, it's like there just doesn't really seem to be any like anything that's getting like it, like you get a little bit of a reaction, but that's all we're getting so far. What we're seeing now is very similar to what we had during the Open of London session. As we open New York session, it's just because New York has that extra bit of volume. It's like the same structure here. You're just grinding down, take the lows, roll over again, and now coming back down towards the lows again. So I would think we're probably looking at some kind of choppiness throughout the rest of the session here. So yeah, for me, it's just observing for now.
Sit on your hands, yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm not willing to put any more risk on the table trying to knife catch. Like I say, I've tried a couple of scalps. It's been, not good really today. So it hasn't even really been an opportunity to short. Like I mean, the move up into VWAP would have been okay. I wasn't here for that one to take a short position. But even then, would I have actually taken a short after seeing that reaction? And like you would expect there to be a bounce at some point, but it just isn't happening.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, it's one thing trying to knife catch if you get, let's say a liquidation event, that a liquidation cascade that's part of, a wider uptrend or something like that. But this is just sustained, choppy downside, grinding lower, support getting blown through, no bounce really. So it really makes it a tough prospect to try and, find any good long setups here or really see any avenue to the upside. I mean, as you said, we're sweeping levels. We're putting in a dead cat bounce, can't even get above daily VWAP, and then just rolling over again. And that's usually the most dangerous type of price action to attempt to knife catch, because you're just going to get blown out over and over, and you're going to get tilted, and your emotions are going to get the better of you, and then you're going to end up taking bad trades trying to catch the bottom, trying to make it all back, which is a fool's errand at the best of cases. Osbrah, what are you looking at right now in the markets? What has your attention? How are you viewing this BTC downside and general altcoin weakness?
So for BTC, as I explained earlier in my corner, and as I was discussing with the boys in the crypto chat, I'm not really looking to long it before we'll show you my screen in a second. You should be able to see it right now. So I'm not really looking at a long attempt on BTC unless we sweep the October 10 week. So we'll just move the line so you see where the week is. It's around 101. So I'm looking for this. We are very, very close, just like $2,000 away. So it might happen today. Who knows if we get a liquidation cascade. The second option, if it doesn't happen, is to reclaim that resistance, because if you look at the different confluence points here on the left, you see we have a high volume node. We also have the value area low. So basically the line here is the value area low of the fixed range volume profile pulled from October 10 week. The low just here. And if you zoom in a little bit, so you can see that we have also bearish order block here with imbalance. So we could pump, retest that level and dump again. So the rectangle here is to highlight the high volume node. By the way, it's not something that important to look at, but we also have our EMA cluster, and obviously the gray line is the EMA 50. It's not the most relevant, but the blue one just here is the EMA 100. The black one is the EMA 200, and obviously with over time it's going to catch up, and then we'll have a nice confluence cluster around here. So it makes 106, 107 a key level to reclaim for the bulls. So unless we manage to flip this area, this whole area, I don't think there is anything bullish. So long story short, it's either we sweep 100K and then we get back above and we have a nice long opportunity on BTC, or we flip 106, 107. Maybe we can even talk about 108 to be super safe before expecting more upside on BTC. Some altcoins look a bit better. You mentioned them. We have some relative strength like Aster, for example. Sol is not looking that bad as well. I have a limit longs at 155. I would show why. Basically, 155 is the support that we had just here, the low that we had just here that we swept with October 10. So let's see if we can retest and then push. So yeah, some altcoins look slightly better than BTC. For some reason, probably that liquidity is completely dried out and there is nobody to liquidate again, especially after what happened on October 10 and then the downside following. So yeah, I would completely rule out longing BTC now, and also because even though I'm saying some altcoins are looking better, I think beside a few ones, like very few ones, like I mentioned, you should probably also avoid trying to knife catch altcoins expecting crazy returns. I would at most stick to top 10. Yeah, most likely top 10. Even Aster, for example, even if it's shown some relative strength, and we have CZ behind trying to shield so hard, we see that it's not even working that well, to be honest. So it clearly says a lot about current state of the market, and we're going to talk about it, and I will share what I'm expecting as a bullish catalyst. But for now, I would completely avoid trying to do anything besides a very, very few plays.
Well, let's move on to that topic because I want to get your thoughts on that specifically. Like, what does it mean for the state of liquidity in the altcoin market? What does it mean for the state of capital rotations in the altcoin market? What does it mean for just general prospects for altcoin traders, crypto traders, anyone looking for upside, looking for a bid on altcoins, when CZ, arguably the most famous person in crypto, like definitely top 3, if not, top 5, if not top 3 most famous figures in crypto, shills his second ever alt position, right? And the first one was BNB, remember that? And we all know how that played out. And it pumps and dumps, right? It rugs. It pumps 40% in a few hours, consolidates for a bit, and then completely retraces the candle, and then goes another, for good measure, goes another -10 or -15%. I mean, what does that tell you about where we are as a market? Because I have fairly strong feelings on that one, but I'd love to know your thoughts.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm quite there is no doubt about my position. I think the altcoin market is completely dead overall. So once again, you can pick a few exceptions here and there, but overall, I think it's just dead. You said it a couple times already, but on October 10, some altcoins went to zero. So regarding the trust of investors regarding the altcoins market, I think it's also dead. There is no trust on the altcoin market. Also, there is no liquidity. So the very few amount of liquidity left in the market is definitely not on altcoins, right? Like, big players are not crazy enough to put their money, their capital into altcoins when you have first indices, I mean, like major stocks, but also BTC. If you look at the crypto market, big players, smart investors, like wouldn't put their capital, gamble, let's say even gamble their capital into altcoins. We often talked about liquidity issue the past few months, and this is why we emphasize on the importance of cutting rates, right? So as much I have a problem with the stream, is it better, guys? Can you say if it's better?
I can see you perfectly, and I think most people can see you perfectly.
Okay. So, and what happened with Aster is also a perfect example. Like, we have a pump and dump because of leverage, basically because of leverage. It's clearly not spot. Otherwise, it wouldn't have dumped that much. We know that a whale faded CZ and shorted with a few millions. So it indicates that kind of plays are enough to push back down an asset shielded by the biggest influencer in the crypto space. I don't know how to say it, but anymore, but it clearly says a lot about the current state of altcoins market, and this is why just before I said beside a few plays, you should just avoid trying to knife catch altcoins until, and I don't want to spoil the next topics, but until we get some conditions met.
Yeah, appreciate that, Osbrah. Yeah, 100%. I was just sorry, I was unmuting myself there. Yeah, I think Aster is an interesting one because I mean I just posted a chart there. It is weirdly enough managing to hold daily VWAP, and I often talk about daily VWAP as being an important dynamic support resistance level when you get these intraday trending days. To flip if you want to see some kind of short-term relief or short-term bottom or short-term reversal. That's one of the few indicators that I put a lot of faith into because it's pretty reliable. It has to be said. But yeah, interesting to see Aster holding that level. Meanwhile, BTC is just put in a new low, and again, not really any kind of a bounce. Jedi, I saw you posted a chart. As by way of a segue, I saw you posted a chart in your channel earlier from Altcoin Psycho saying that ETH had filled the wick. But I'm also conscious that was just the USD, not even Tether, the USD pair on Coinbase, and majority of USDT perp charts and spot charts still show that ETH has a little bit of downside left, about $100. I'm curious to get your thoughts on current market conditions. What are you looking at? What has your attention? And I suppose what is worrying you, because that's kind of one of the topics that we're kind of discussing here today is like, what has changed now compared to the market of 2, 3, 4 months ago? Because I know that I was far more optimistic. I think I was far more optimistic about the market before October. Even a month ago, I remember we got that upside to kick off October as it was back then. Things looked pretty good. We had rate cuts on the horizon. We had quantitative easing on the horizon, and those things have come and gone. And well, I mean, or at least they're promised to be coming. And not much of a market reaction from crypto, it has to be said. Lots of guys were talking about rotations from gold and equities into crypto. That hasn't really happened yet. There's an argument that this is just weakness rather than any kind of a lagging thing. So I'm just curious to know, how are you navigating current market conditions, and what are your thoughts on the market at the moment?
Good Lord. I don't know if you guys are getting a bit of lag from me, but there's an undersea cable that's gone down. So if I am lagging a bit, I do apologize. That's a big question, Folus. I think I'm pretty bearish at the moment. I think alts are very much cooked. I'd say as much as 80% of alts out there are really struggling. Obviously, those alts that went to zero, I think, are a great indicator as to who was holding the majority of the liquidity and then pulling that liquidity. I think, as they say, the proof is in the pudding. And in this case, this whole thing with Binance and Wintermute, and I'm sure you'll chat about it later on. But I think there's your clue. Whether you believe there's a court case in motion or whether there's a fight in motion, I think is irrelevant. I mean, even though it is, but it's irrelevant. He said, she said. I think what's relevant is that someone pulled that liquidity during this crash. Alts went to zero, and now we're seeing the aftermath of 1010. I mean, you alluded to the kind of like the scenario that what happens if there is no liquidity around, and how does this thing play out, and how significant is 1010? I'm of the opinion that 1010 is probably way worse than what we saw around FTX and Luna. I think it's an event that is going to redefine this space in many ways. I think there are too many alts in the space anyways. And to be honest with you, I think the death of the majority of them would probably be the best thing for this market and for us as traders. So yes, I am extremely bearish from that perspective. It's nice to see that there are some coins that are obviously experiencing a bull market. I think Zcash has been a great testimony or a testament to what a bull market does look like. So obviously been looking at that, been scalping it a lot, made probably 10,000 mistakes along the way. Should have held longer in some situations, but it's been a very positive thing as well. I think also just in terms of what it is that I'm looking at, I think there's some interesting developments happening in DeFi at the moment from a launchpad perspective, but then also what is sustainable. So MetaDAOs obviously come into the scene, and they're basically giving ownership of tokens to holders through revenue and taking sort of like this pump fund model and just kind of like expanding on it and giving people ownership in the protocol itself. So I think we're going to see more of that in the DeFi context of things, where people are rethinking the way that tokenomics are actually put together. So I'm pretty bullish about that. So I think out of all the negative stuff that's happening at the moment, I think there will be a lot of positives that will come out of it. I think one of the really shitty things that have happened, and what I've been looking at, is kind of like, Balancer. For those of you who don't know, it's a platform that's been around for over 5 years. It's obviously supported liquidity pools, yields. One of the old protocols that have done really well in the past, and they got hacked for like $130 million yesterday. So that's never a good thing. People are questioning, like, fuck, like, is Pendle safe now? Is like, all that money sitting there safe? Are they? There's $30 billion sitting in that protocol right now. People are starting to get a little bit jumpy, and that's never a good thing. Liquidity dispersing is never going to be a good thing. So I think we've got a little bit of a road to travel around DeFi and the way that DeFi actually patrols itself, or kind of like enhances security. So I think there will be positives that will come out of this. There are people talking about different security measures around contracts and how they get monitored. So hopefully we see a positive around that. Obviously, we've got Mega ETH that's coming, Monad that's coming. What a time to launch. But I think those will be positive catalysts. You've got new tech coming in, you've got new opportunities and new protocols. I mean, there's so much to cover from the DeFi side of things. Guys, make an effort and check out the DeFi channel. We've obviously just opened that. So I'm going to shill it. There's some good stuff happening in there. It's nice to see that a couple of you are interested in DeFi and that you are throwing some money at it. I'm very cautious in DeFi at the moment. I'm not, if I am placing a bet, it's tiny. And I'm kind of like going for the gamble as opposed to, like expecting some kind of a return. There are a couple of really good stuff. I mean, Sailor's a good one. Check it out in the channel. It's kind of like, it's an Oracle-based platform that essentially does pricing on the same way that Chainlink does, but it's for Hyperliquid. And there's a burn mechanism, there's an incentive mechanism around that. I'm really bullish on that. I could carry on about DeFi for the next 2 hours, but I'll stop there. I think just to summarize, overall, I am pretty bearish about where we are in the market. Tim spoke about that 101, that's filling the wick, and I keep going on about it, and I have since Tim first brought it up, and I'd love to see that 101, 100 get swept, and then for us to fucking bounce and go to 120K. If that happens, I will be sending nude photos in channels, so I'm giving you the warning now. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, 100%. Feet pics, please. I think we're definitely gonna let's set up a DeFi call. Maybe we'll do like a once-off next week or something, and then we can see if we want to turn it into a regular thing. That'd be cool because these chats are pretty whistle stop sometimes, but it'd be good to sit down with you for an hour and kind of pick your brain about that side of the server. But appreciate that. So yeah, sorry, who do we? Yeah, Victor. I want to get your thoughts now. What are you looking at? What has your attention? And what are your general thoughts on the market at the moment? We've been discussing this this current downside, altcoin weakness, lack of a bid, some pretty pessimistic takes. Are you another one of them?
Yes and no. On BTC, of course, everything is looking really bad, but just like you should not be giga bullish at range highs, you should not be giga bearish at range lows. So I'm cautiously bearish, but I'm not calling for much lower than 100K just yet. But on altcoins, I am giga bearish, and I'll explain both points. I'm gonna share my screen first to talk about BTC a little bit. I know you guys already discussed it, but just to reiterate maybe a few points. Just like people were expecting a new all-time high when we were trending towards range highs, and everyone was giga bullish and said, "Oh, this is the buyback from the huge liquidation event. We're going to all-time high." You see the same people calling for a sub 100K right now and that it's the doomsday for BTC. It's just a range, guys. Don't overcomplicate it. Of course, it does look a little bit worse in terms of the way we're reacting from the range bounds here than it did right here, because here we SFP'd it. That was a clean reversal, then rejected it. So it made more sense to reverse right here than it does right here because, like you already pointed out, we saw that initial sweep and the bounce. Unfortunately, the H4 fair value gap was barely tapped and it acted as a resistance and didn't even reach, I think, like a quarter of it, just like we did earlier this week on Monday right here. So pretty bearish stuff overall. And I honestly think that the wick down here from the 10th of October will get filled. However, I will only consider this range exited to the downside if we accept below this low. So until we do that, I cannot be giga bearish because we are at range lows where you should look for reasons to get long actually. But I should also mention the fact that technically this range was formed after the price moved down, so it's only logical that is a higher chance that we exit this range to the downside. So yeah, I am cautiously bearish right here, but if you get a nice buyback, if you somehow manage to break the H4 structure back to bullish after sweeping this week, then maybe we can look for rotations towards 110, 120K, but until then, yeah, stuff is looking pretty bad. And about the altcoins, again, you already discussed it, but it is incredibly bearish and incredibly sad to see. Of course, with CZ not being able to push his bag. Sorry, my voice is failing me.
You sound about 85 years old.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. It's the effect of this market. I think that this altcoin thing in general is the slowest bubble to burst. And what I mean by this is that in 2021, we had the full altcoin season that made so many people rich, that made so many people happy. So when this cycle came around, everyone was expecting the same. Everyone was expecting an altcoin season after BTC makes a new all-time high and stabilizes. Everyone is calling for the Bitcoin dominance bottom once in a while. So that never happened. And why it didn't happen? I already discussed these reasons a few weeks ago. Mainly the fact that in 2021, altcoins were the new shiny thing and big players were getting involved and they thought that the altcoins will change the world. Of course, that didn't happen. And now we basically only see rotations. Osbrah already said that no smart big players will invest their money into altcoins, especially after October 10th, because it's a gamble. But my point is, and why I said that the altcoin thing in crypto is the slowest bubble to burst, we've been seeing the same thing over and over and over again for 2 years now in this bullish cycle. Altcoins are weak and people still don't learn this. So I think it's just a matter of time until everyone understands that, and it's just a matter of when will people finally understand that altcoins are just a way to pump and dump money. In my opinion, of course, you might disagree with me, but that's just what I think. And we definitely saw that. Aster is just the last example. So I'm leaning very bearish on altcoins, and the guys that have been in Chroma for a while already know that I believe that in 10 years, Bitcoin will be the only cryptocurrency left, maybe a few others, but basically only the stuff with a use case. And it's the truth, but 99.99% of the altcoins are absolutely useless. They can promise to do stuff, but they never deliver. And if they deliver, there are 10 altcoins that do the same thing. So that's my really bearish outlook on the world of altcoins for the next few years. I'm sorry if you guys are bullish on altcoins, but yeah, that's my take.
Amazing. Okay, so we've had a few takes from the team now, varying from moderately bearish to majorly bearish. Perdu, you're up. Can you buck the trend? Can you give us the hopium that all of our viewers deserve? Can you give us the thin sliver of hope that us altcoin maxis need?
Lead us to the promised land. Lead us to
Exactly.
the promised land.
No, but I mean seriously, it's a funny situation right now for altcoins because we had virtual retracing the pump, and I saw you posted on Twitter that you thought that after the Andrew Kang pump that it was going to retrace to 1.3 or 1.4, and I see today it's 1.38. So you got your wish. We have Aster retracing the CZ pump. We have a lot of coins that are now looking very likely to fill the 1010 wick, including Ethereum and possibly BTC as well. How are you positioned here? How are you facing this? How are you navigating the turbulent waters of the altcoin market right now?
Yeah, it's. I mean, always when you find like a consolidation period, like what we saw today, people are gonna get chopped, and you probably get one more sweep, and that's basically you just try. It's like boxing. You try a few jabs until you hit that KO, in my opinion. So I think somewhere this week it makes the most sense. The more we trade towards 100K, the more it makes sense for shorts to close, and the risk to reward fades a bit for shorts to short 100K, because like what's your target? 90K, zero? What? Yeah, I mean, the sooner we get into this territory, and I think, for example, that we either form a bottom right here, or we get that yearly open, which would be the A+ setup for me, like something like a sweep into 3250, reclaim the yearly open, and you put your stop loss below the low that we will probably make today or tomorrow, because usually aggressive moves early in the week, they tend to reverse later in the week. That's a common thing in TradFi, but also in crypto, it works a lot. So hopefully we see some sort of bottom PA forming today or tomorrow. And I mean, when 100% is bearish, who is left to sell, you know? Well, what's your quota already? We go up, we start trending again when the sellers stop selling, not when the buyers show up or so. What was the quote you always refer to?
The quote is the bottoms form when the selling stops, not when the buying starts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, to me, I mean, Bitcoin is still above 100K with all the big companies and all the outflows we have seen from Van Eck, from Fidelity, from BlackRock over the last few weeks. Michael Saylor isn't in the books anymore. He does like really tiny buys, like 40 million or so, while in the first quarter and the second quarter he blasted like 1 billion into the books. So now basically, yeah, hopefully we see some sort of consolidation here today, going into Asia and going into tomorrow. And to me, when we hold yearly open and when we sweep 101, 102, somewhere this region, I think we're gonna see a bottom form. So that's to me, yeah, something to look forward to, in my opinion.
And what altcoins have your attention now? Because obviously there's been a lot of attention on coins like Virtual and Aster getting shilled by Andrew Kang, getting shilled by CZ, but those pumps have both been completely retraced. Obviously, we have Zcoin, which Jedi said is in its own bull market. In its own bull market, it's like 10x at the moment from the lows in 45 days or something like that. So, I mean, there are opportunities. You know, there are
definitely opportunities.
Even if it's just a quick get in, get out, make your money intraday, and then move on to the next setup. There are opportunities every day, every week. You just have to be smart about where you allocate your capital. What altcoins are you looking at right now?
I mean, there are a few that show a lot of strength already, like MMT. I was eyeing this morning, but I was too afraid to take it because BTC was still down only. We have APR, that is a coin that is on Monad. The structure looks really bad at the moment, but sorry, my kid is in the room. And Monad itself, it looks pretty shit at the moment, but it's slowly forming to start some structure over here. So YB is from the CRV founder. Monad is a new launch. APR is from into the Monad ecosystem, and MMT is quite a good coin as well, which just got launched on Binance and is actually sustaining this pump. So I guess that these are the ones you want to be long on once BTC finds a bottom and risk appetite is increasing. So let's see.
Interesting. Okay, thank you for that, Perdu. want to move on now. Well, we still have a little bit of time to talk about it. To the Wintermute versus Binance lawsuit. Now, we kind of spoke about it at the very beginning of the conversation, at the very beginning of the call. It has come out basically in the last few hours that the Wintermute co-founder has said that they're not suing Binance, but there were already rumors that it was going ahead. Some people saying it sounds a little bit like when FTX was denying that there were any issues, or when SBF was denying that there were any issues in SBF back in the day.
Where there's smoke, there's fire, right?
It all sounds a bit sus, right? It all sounds a bit sus, especially talking about this auto deleveraging thing from a few weeks back. Now, for those of you who don't know, I posted this in my channel. Maybe Sis can share the link if he's around. But I shared this about auto deleveraging a few weeks ago. It's this process whereby exchanges will effectively close positions belonging to close futures positions belonging to traders when there is a lot of volatility in the system, and they begin with the positions that are in the highest profit and the highest leverage. So Wintermute effectively had a bunch of their shorts forcibly closed when the market was tanking. So think about that. The market is dropping down very quickly. This is on 10th of October, by the way. And Wintermute, who are a market maker, so they were basically delta neutral, which means their long exposure was effectively matched to their short exposure. And they make money then through fees and things of that nature, arbitrage and things like that. So imagine you're Wintermute, you have probably hundreds of millions of dollars, if not more, in the system, but it's delta neutral. The shorts and longs are balanced, and all of a sudden Binance forcibly closes all your shorts while the market is tanking. All of a sudden you have no short exposure, you only have long exposure, and the market is dropping very, very fast. So you panic, you get a call from your risk manager saying this is not very good. So you pull all your liquidity. And that's one of the reasons that we saw coins like Atom go to zero, is because Binance forcibly closed Wintermute's positions. Wintermute panicked, pulled a lot of their liquidity out of the system. All of a sudden you had order books that were empty all the way to 0.0001, which is why Adam went there. So that's the background to this. And now we're seeing that possibly there's going to be legal proceedings between Wintermute and Binance over this dispute. This would not be good for crypto, right? This is the biggest market maker in crypto and the biggest exchange in crypto. This is not good for altcoin liquidity, but I'm curious to know, I'll go to you, Perdu, because you're unmuted, but do you have any thoughts on this or any hot takes on what this means for crypto?
I mean, the takes are on X are really mixed at the moment. Like, some people really want to get rid of Wintermute because every coin Wintermute touches turns into complete untradeable dog shit. Mentioning LDO, mentioning so many new coins they market make into like oblivion. So there's probably there's a reason why Wintermute got hurt. Probably because they did some shady shit as well, and probably CZ or Binance wanted to get rid of them as well. So I don't know what's the story going to be, but it's going to be a one banger of a HBO Max series, and I'm definitely going to watch it in the next few years.
I just want to see the makers of The Big Short make a sequel based on SBF and all the scamming that happened in
of the last 4 years. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be too much content, like between 3 Arrows Capital and Voyager and Celsius and FTX and Luna and Dopon and SBF. You could literally you could make a HBO series out of that, like Game of Thrones, with all the fucking different characters. But anyway, I want to jump back, Luke, if you're still online. I'm just curious, do you have any kind of thoughts about this, what it means, maybe even from a from your position as someone who trades both crypto and TradFi, both crypto and equities? Like, what does it mean if there's a ton of liquidity being pulled for crypto? What does it mean for guys like you who are maybe looking at two different markets? I mean, effectively, it just makes crypto far less appealing as a market to trade, right?
Yeah. I mean, for me, altcoins haven't really been something I've been trading for quite a while. The whole Wintermute thing, what happened on 10/10, I wasn't around to really see what happened. That was when I was away. So I'm not too up to date with all the goings on from all of that. The only thing I can say is that for basically this whole cycle, I've felt pretty disillusioned by crypto in general. I myself got into crypto, got into trading through crypto because I really liked the idea of it. I liked the tech. I liked the kind of the freedom and the debanking and all of this kind of thing that it brought with it, and the promise that it would change the world and in it for the tech. Yes, as Joe's saying. So it's just this whole cycle, and it started off with memes. I was really not a fan at all of everything that happened with memes, with pump.fun, like little 12-year-old kids using their parents' credit cards in order to just like buy shit that would just go to zero and get rugged the next day. We're having 300,000 tokens being made every day. I remember when there weren't even 300, there weren't even really 300 tokens in existence, let alone 300,000. So that whole thing where liquidity is just spread out so far, attention is like so low that it like how is it possible for anything to gain enough traction to have more than just a single cycle that lasts a few days, when by the time it's retraced and come back to like wave one support, or anything like that, then there's like millions of new tokens that are out there that are being shilled by the same people that were shilling the tokens that had this cycle like just a few days prior. So I think it's really difficult just from an attention perspective to even understand what's going on in the space and to keep up to date with everything right now, to keep up to date with all these new tokens that are being created. We're seeing like recently, this Zcash pump is like why? Like what the fuck? Like what's going on? What does that have to offer the space now? It's been dead for years. It's been around since like 2017, 2018. It's been dead for years. It seems one of these things where like end of cycle vibes, where old dino coins start to pump for no reason other than people just want to get out of them. So I've felt that way even during like the really good bull phases of this cycle, that it's just like, what is going on? Like, how do we keep up with this? Which is why a lot of my trading's just been moving towards indices, still trading Bitcoin, still trading Ethereum a little bit, and then trading anything that has some kind of momentum, understanding that momentum just isn't going to last. Like I've had when the cycle started, you look at things like Tau that came out, not Tau, I remember actually Tau was one of them, Render being another one. I know that was a big favorite of yours for this.
Don't ask me how much I've round tripped on that bag.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like you make some good money from it, and then it's like, okay, cool, we're back at support. And in previous cycles, this would have carried on to make new highs, and it would have a couple of runs, and we just haven't really seen that from anything. So yeah, I think the whole space in general is just way too saturated. I'm looking forward to the death of memes as a start point, getting back to basics again, where like hopefully 99.999% goes to zero, and then we have some stuff that can be traded nicely within the next cycle again. But yeah, it's just a difficult market. The buy and hold with the promise that eventually you're going to get some kind of return from holding anything is no longer there. It just doesn't exist anymore. You can't just go and buy a token and be like, oh, okay, eventually it's going to pump, because nothing has. I think the only way you could have made money from alts is through VC. And even with that, like again, early on in the cycle, I did take part in a couple of VC rounds myself. But but a lot of these things are now public as well. So like the average trader can get hold of tokens for a lot less than what they like launch at market for. Things are launching with massively inflated valuations, and then they're just immediately dumped because no one wants to hold this shit. And yes, just overall, just the space is just like so saturated, so over the top, that it's very difficult to make money in the traditional ways anymore. So more of a trader's market, a tougher trader's market. But yeah, you have to be very selective on what you're trading now.
Yeah, 100%. You hit the nail. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there with regards to being selective about where you allocate your capital. 2021 just taught so many people so many bad habits. Basically, throw your darts at the dartboard, and wherever they land, you're either going to make a little bit of money or you'll make a lot of money. And I feel like this cycle, people have just assumed that that's going to be the case again, right? Throw your darts at the dartboard, wherever they land, you're going to make some money. Whereas, in fact, it's been incredibly punishing to guys who play the altcoin market like that. You've really had to do your research. You really had to find the narratives early. You really had to get in and out of things very quickly, or else you stand to lose all your money. And then, of course, the ones that you get in and out of quickly end up being the 10x runners like Zcoin or something like that. But yeah, it has been a tough market. Completely agree with you there. I want to get Rouge's take on things. Rouge, welcome to the discussion. We're just trying to kind of get a feeling of where people are in the market in general. I know you're not much of an altcoin trader, but perhaps you can give us your take on BTC price action and how you found it recently. From my personal kind of read on things, this last month or so has been very manipulated, quite hard to trade due to I guess thinner books than normal, a lot more manipulation and I guess high volatility moves than normal. I'm curious to get your thoughts on that.
Can I just speak in 5 minutes? I just arrived home, in 5 minutes. Just
yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Put all
Yeah,
my
no
stuff
worries.
away and wash my face and stuff like that. Just 5 minutes.
Gotta wash.
Further,
Yes, Jedi.
just if I may, just on the Wintermute Binance thing, there's a couple of CT community members. I think Trading X was kind of like, I think he was running point on kind of like inside information and then bringing somebody else in who was basically speaking with tremendous authority in terms of having insider info around the dynamic that's basically playing out between these kind of juggernauts in this industry. And what was interesting about that discussion is that we've effectively got a question at the moment that is going around that's like, is Binance actually wanting to get rid of Wintermute now that CZ has the president of the United States essentially on his side? We know that there is a conversation that's going on possibly for an IPO for Binance to actually list on the New York Stock Exchange. And, with that comes a whole lot of responsibility and power, and also the ability to essentially run the whole show on your own. So there is definitely a possibility that perhaps Binance wants Wintermute out of the equation. And that's maybe why this thing played out the way that it played out on October 10th. And then some people are even stretching that story and saying that perhaps they brought about a lot of this stuff so that they could actually subject Wintermute to what it is that they subjected them to in an ideal situation. So I think the story is a lot more interesting than we think it is, even though it already is fucking interesting. I think there's a lot more developing here, and I think we're going to hear some interesting stories come out of it. And I, for one, have known and have learned one thing in crypto, and that is essentially that the most entertaining and the most fuckery is the outcome that ultimately lands up happening. So yeah, I think that's really important. And then from just coming back to obviously what Luke is saying, I mean, Luke is agreeing with what I said earlier on. I think we are going to see the death of all of these coins, and I think we are going to see utility playing a role. But I'd like to just remind everyone, one of the most amazing trades over the last 18 months has been hype. Hyperliquid has been an absolute fucking golden goose, and there is a lot to be said for that, and we need more of that kind of stuff. So even though we can be very bearish around alts, there are some alts out there that have done some fucking good stuff. So let's not forget that.
Yeah, 100%. Like we said when I was talking with Perdu, I mean, there are runners every week, every day, opportunities in this market for sure. So I'm going to get Rouge's take on BTC, and then we're going to loop back to Osbrah to get the final topic of the conversation, which is the US government shutdown. So yeah, Rouge, can you give us a quick 2-3 minute overview on how you found trading BTC, particularly over the last month?
Actually, me personally had the best month since I started trading in October, pretty much because, well, as most of you know, it was short season. I pretty much didn't long of the whole month. I just shorted every pump, and I made a coin doing so. And I actually think, like, despite what, if we do not take into consideration what happened on the 10th, I've been pretty vocal about two levels. When we were trading above 120, the utmost important level to hold for, sorry, I cannot share the chart because I'm on phone, was 117.5, 118. If we wanted to resume upside, we had to defend, like bulls had to defend this level, and it has been lost. And it has been lost with strength and volume. After that, the next level in play was for upside was to reclaim 116.5 to 117, which was the, as you guys know, I trade fibs, and this was the macro algo pocket from ATH to the bottom of the week at 100k, pretty much on Bybit, and it made the golden pocket sit around 116.5, 117. Bulls didn't even have the strength to come up there. So, in my opinion, it was kind of hopeless to be thinking, okay, we're going to resume up only, and to be longing with a big hope for upside. And this has been shown in the liquidations, despite us having the biggest liquidation event of since like the inception of cryptocurrencies. People still kept longing. But one thing which is interesting is that the overall trend has completely shifted the last 2 weeks. And it's been a very long time. And I think I've never seen so many shorts piling up, so many bottom shorts. When I say bottom shorts, people shorting where support is supposed to be. You have breakout longers who long pretty much every top on the way up, and now you have breakdown shorters really like stepping in with crazy volume. You have the like open interest it has been ramping up with shorts. Now I see what I see for the pretty much the near future, and this is what I've been saying in the crypto charts. We only need one catalyst to propel probably the biggest short squeeze on Bitcoin that we've ever had. This, for anyone who's been trading with order flow, this is actually insane. It's actually insane, the amount of sellers positioned at the moment. The problem is, for one reason that I ignore, market used to be punishing late shorts. It used to be squeezing them for all they got. And these last weeks, we didn't even manage to reclaim any interesting point in price to be actually starting to build an intraday swing short position. Bulls didn't even have that capacity. So either we're really going to be trading sub 100k, and I think that if we do lose 100k, it won't be like last time, which was a small deviation. We will really start to accept below this level, and we can, like, I'm not going to say cycle over, but if we lose yearly open, that's the last line in the sand. Like, this is the last line for me in the sand. You lose yearly open, we're going to be back like trading 2024 prices, pretty much. That's my take on Bitcoin at the moment. Obviously, I do expect somewhat of a reaction if we hit 100k, but the major level, you have 100k, 98, and yearly open at 93 something. Lose all three of them, pretty sure the bear market will not be a joke anymore. And yeah, that's pretty much it at the moment. Price action, of course, if I have to sum it up, it's shit if you were looking too long every dip. Obviously, you are going to get wrecked. But in a slow bleed environment, you shouldn't be building swing or intraday longs when market structure on a median time frame has not changed at all. Well, this is something I've been teaching in 2025. Something very important is that when you have bearish price action order flow, and I'm not talking about order flow in the books, highs are not getting swept and lows are swept, and you leave behind bearish gaps. And it's just too bad I don't have a chart to share, but it's clear as day when you look at H1, H4. Since we did ATH, it's a slow bleed environment. And that's all for me.
100%. Yeah, I appreciate that, Rouge. And I think that also ties in with something we said at the start of the call, which is that, you shouldn't be trying to long these slow grinds down where support is just getting broken through. There's no real bounce being offered by logical levels. That's the worst type of knife catching. Knife catching can make a lot of sense sometimes, especially if it's, a liquidation event as part of a wider uptrend or maybe some illogical downside based on news. But when you're getting this slow, steady grind down, lower, no bounce, no buyers showing up, constant sell pressure, all bounces being sold into, that's the worst kind of knife catching because you're effectively just trying to fade strength. You're trying to jump in front of a moving train, and that never ends well. I want to loop back because I'm conscious of time here. I want to loop back to the final conversation topic for today, which is the US government shutdown and what relevance that has. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing, and this is probably the most interesting post that I have read. I think I forgot the tweet, but it's someone who wrote a kind of an article, pretty much summing up what might have been happening since we did ATH. And to summarize things, he was pretty much saying, since we traded above ATH this time again, the OG Bitcoin holders have been slowly starting to sell their positions. And there was a graphic attached with that where you have seen many wallets detaining Bitcoin since it was worth pretty much $1, like $100, even a couple thousands, all starting to slowly sell everything into market. That's all. I'm going to try to find the link. It was a very, very interesting read.
I saw something very similar. A lot of OG wallets have started to sell, which is, mildly concerning, I suppose. But again, a lot of these guys, they've held their Bitcoin for like 7, 8, 9, 10 years. So I don't think it's not necessarily, I mean, they're not necessarily like incredibly astute investors. Some of these guys were just very early. But yeah, it's something to be I guess, to be aware of. Thanks for that, Rouge. So yeah, just want to get Osbrah's take on the US government shutdown, and then we'll call it there. What does this mean for my bags, Osbrah? What does this mean for my bags?
It's not that good, the current situation, because now we are pushing back the date of potential government reopening to at least Thanksgiving, according to the latest predictions. So we are getting pretty much aligned with December the 1st. As a reminder, December the 1st is an important date because the Fed stated that they are going to end their quantitative tightening on that date. So now things are at least as long as the government doesn't push back the date of the reopening, then we should be aligned with the end of the quantitative tightening. Now the interesting thing is, and I will share my screen for a second to make it more visual. Basically, this chart is showing the reverse repo account in red and the TGA in blue. What is the TGA? Basically, the saving account of the government, and the reverse repo is the account. It's a tool used by the Fed to absorb the excess of liquidity in the market. So long story short, how it works, let's say banks have a lot of liquidity and they don't know what to do with the money. Then the Fed offers them to park that liquidity in exchange of a yield overnight. So because it's overnight, then the yield is extremely appealing compared to what the banks could have on the regular market. What we see now is that account is completely dried out. So there is absolutely no liquidity. And the account of the government is going up massively. It's normal because, as you guys know, there is a shutdown, so the government cannot spend, right? It cannot spend the liquidity. So obviously, it's like, imagine you get your salary and you cannot spend it. You have nothing to pay, and anyway, you cannot even pay. You can't use your bank accounts, your cash, your credit cards, whatever. So obviously, it's going to stack. You're going to stack the money into your bank account. And you're gonna you're not gonna consume. So you see exactly what's happening right now, because the government spending is frozen, so the liquidity is frozen. So for now, the effects of the Fed monetary policy. So they started to cut rates in September. They've cut rates again in October. The effect is minimized because of the government being frozen. Can you imagine everyone buying shiny new altcoins when you have all the public workers not having a salary? Because this is also what it means when the government is shut down. It means all the public workers don't get paid. All the public institutions cannot use the money to invest where it should. So long story short, as I explained in my corner, it means the liquidity is being held hostage until the government opens again. So what it means for these bags, it means that as long as the liquidity is being held hostage, then we can be almost 100% sure that nothing is going to flow into, let's say, the crypto market. Because I like to separate Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto market. So let's say the crypto market. Another example, another image is that, for example, if you look at S&P made all-time high, it's cool, but it's been carried by only like five to seven companies. We talk about the Max 7. And the last few weeks, a lot, like the majority of the companies were going down like bad, like really, really bad, just like altcoins. And it's similar to what we have on the crypto market with Bitcoin and the rest. So yeah, long story short, you really want to see now, it's like an emergency. You want to see the government being open again, so we can at least benefit from the latest Fed's decisions. We've been waiting for that for like a year, between September 2024 rate cut and September 2025 rate cut. And unfortunately, the current situation prevents us from benefiting from that. We've been waiting all this time for basically nothing, because Dems and Republicans cannot find an agreement regarding the budget. Because that's the problem. Just for people who might not know why the government is shut down, it's because until today, Republicans and Democrats couldn't find an agreement regarding the budget of the US government. And until they find an agreement, the government is going to stay shut down.
Yeah, another traumatizing event. Does anyone know that meme? Another traumatizing event after I spent so much
bad
time
news.
trying to get profitable again. Let me share that because I'm a boomer. Boomers love funny memes like that. But yeah, it is really. I think crypto is one of those industries where it really is. Like when it rains, it pours. You know, and we find this a time and time again. When there's good news coming, there tends to be a lot of it. And when there's bad news coming, there tends to be a lot of it too. But yeah, definitely on the ladder at the moment. But look, as Perdu says, as Jedi said, I mean, there are always opportunities in this market, and that's the beauty of crypto. It doesn't matter if the market's going up, down, or sideways. There are always ways to make money. There are always ways that smart traders can be rewarded, and always ways that smart traders can make some money from trading the market. So I think that's, you know, when we are kind of offering these gloomy doomy takes, you know, this is in no way indicative of, you know, our chances or your chances or your ability to make money. This is just calling it like it is. This is just telling you that market looks like shit now. Further downside is likely. Altcoin liquidity has dried up. BTC looks very dodgy. I mean, we're just stating the facts. But the beauty of crypto is that, you know, if you're a trader, you trade market up, down, sideways, whatever it is, and make money that way. So I mean, look,
for this,
yeah.
if I can just add one touch of at least hopium for everyone.
Yeah.
The good news is that the longer it takes for the government to reopen, and like the most violent the reaction should be. So now that, like, obviously it takes time, so everything is going down. So the pump is going to be even more impressive because the flow of liquidity is going to be more important. So I just wanted to add a little bit of optimism for everyone.
I appreciate that. Wow, yeah, BTC is 101K now, getting pretty low. Wow, I'm actually
we're start a 100K party.
Yeah, the 100K watch party. As I said on Twitter, man, it hits different when you're looking at it from the other side. But yeah,
just
we just filled the
We just
10-10
had a
wick.
massive like wipe in open interest and a ton of liquidations in the last like minute or two. So I am
Almost hitting yearly open.
Yeah, I mean we've got like we've got a daily level here that's not been hit. I'm just interested with what I'm seeing on the order flow like now. Also I posted earlier ETH taking out these August lows, coming into a little gap that we've got, and like macro VWAP from April lows. So things are reaching like really nice POIs.
But ETH just filled the wick and BTC just filled the perp wick.
Everything. This could be
It's not gonna hold.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing nice stuff. Like there's good volume coming in now, but it's like maybe within the next hour or so, if we can get a little bit of a bounce. But I need to sleep soon. But this is like it's getting interesting now.
Take a while though. It's gonna take a while.
Yeah, it's getting interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we see in Asia session we maybe form some sort of bottom, and then we sweep one more time in London tomorrow. It's gonna take time. I think sellers our buyers are not gonna step in directly here. So yeah, it's gonna be maybe Solana below 150 is a good bet on that first sweep, like a mechanical bounce below 150. But yeah, it's really knife catchy here at the moment, guys. Don't try to be a hero and time the bottom, in my opinion.
I didn't think we would see a wick fill on BTC today. I thought it would come later in the week, but yeah, that's just shows you how strong the downside has been. Anyway, guys, we're not going to keep you any longer. It is 1:15 now. Appreciate everyone for joining. Appreciate all of our panelists, smart gigabrain guys. Appreciate you guys giving your takes for our members, and for our members, I appreciate you guys spending an hour here with us. We will be back next week, of course, with next week's roundtable. And if there are any topics you would like us to cover in the meantime, please let us know. Appreciate you guys. Thank you very much. And we will see you in the server in a few minutes. Bye-bye.